I'm Bailey Smith. On schedule was Ann Wooten, but she couldn't be here with us today, so I'm taking her place. I'm from Popup Archive, and I'm going to talk a little bit about annotating audio. And I was putting this deck together last night and realized that there's another broad topic that I touch on a lot, and that's how to deal with collaborative web-based annotation, which I think is something that is really broadly applicable in this room. So hopefully there'll be some interesting points in there for everyone. So this is Popup Archive. This is our site. What we do is we make audio searchable. That's the primary goal. A secondary goal is to provide context. And I think a great overarching goal, the humanist goal, is to unite and preserve all this audio. It's in a lot of different institutions, in a lot of different laptops, a lot of crappy hard drives that are bound to break. And so we try to prevent that siloing and try to recruit people and participate in the archive and start making efforts to get that stuff up on the web, notably backing up at the Internet Archive. So our constant woes, audio is not text, which is actually really problematic because text is the language of the web. And audio is this completely opaque file. You might have some metadata embedded in it. However, there's I think of it as a fat-glutted tick full of blood that needs to be lanced. There's so much interesting information in that file that is really, if it's spoken word, is textual. And largely we work with the spoken word. And the other problem is that there is just too much stuff, often so much stuff that the organizations that are in charge of taking care of this material, that are in charge of organizing this material, are discouraged from doing anything with it. A lot of, and a good example is radio stations. They're in a constant process of production, and they're, constantly making great new media. However, going back through their backlogs, going back through all of their hard drives, and looking at it and sussing out, what does, 1024.014 xx392.wave mean. It means nothing to them, and someone has to take that time, has to go through all these resources, and they have very few human resources to throw at this problem. So it's overwhelming. So what we try to do is automate some of that process. And this is a single item in Popup Archive's interface. And so if you see at the top here and this bit of metadata in the middle, that is all human generated. However, this transcript and all these tags at the bottom, we've generated them automatically. And we've talked a little bit about this, and I've heard this question going on. There seems to be sort of a fuzzy distinction between what's metadata and what's annotation. And I'm going to leave that for everyone else to decide. We definitely have some information that we ask people to give that is more on the side of notation. But we would really like to get more of that. The problem is that we have users that don't want to put any extra time into this. They don't have a lot of extra time. So we're thinking really hard about how do we get extra annotation from not just the user or the submitter, but anyone else that might be consuming this media. And so here are our search results. You can see that, yeah, you can get some cool results back just based on what we've got in there already. But I think we can push this even farther. So we are inspired by SoundCloud. Their commenting tool is really cool, and they, like us, use this horizontal waveform, and the horizontal waveform really doesn't represent time as it's experienced. So let's take a look at ours. This is our horizontal waveform. This could be a 2-minute file, this could be a 2-hour file, and when it comes to playing this back, you have to go around, you have to scrub in there. If it's a 2-hour file, a click could be 10 minutes rather than 2 seconds. So how do you find that moment that you're looking for? Our transcripts are helpful because you can scroll through and press, I say the 10-second mark, and it will go there automatically. But the waveform is full of useful information, useful visual information, and that should be the way that you can interact with the audio file as well. So something that I've been thinking a lot about is a vertical waveform. The web is great with scrolling, and I think it is a lot more logical way to represent time online. So, in this version, what I'm imagining is that each second has a fixed height, and so as we scroll through, an hour-long file would be, twice as long as a 30-minute file, and so that is a future for Popup Archive. I'm very hopeful about that, and I'm really hopeful that it can provide more meaningful interaction with the audio files. Another problem that we have, and this is maybe a personal problem for me, is crowdsourcing involves letting go of control. We have users submitting things. They care about the quality of information that's added to their files. We care a lot about the quality because our search is only as good as the information that's attached to it. And so, I love the idea of commenting on the waveform. I think it's really cool, but there is this guy. The idea of the archive being littered with a bunch of dudes going nice and sick beats is like my personal nightmare. So how are we going to deal with this? Right now, we are using a tool called Amara to kind of test out our first foray into crowdsourcing. So when we get back these automated transcripts, let's just all come out and say it. They are not perfect. Sometimes they are very far from perfect, particularly if the audio is quite old or was taken on an iPhone from across a room. So we've been allowing certain partners to send their material to Amara, and Amara does video captioning. Granted, we have audio, which is, not ideal, but they can still have users go in and correct. And Amara gives the creator of the audio some control over what they want to accept and reject. The problem with this is that it's high touch. For every file, every single change that's made in one of these audio files, the user receives an email that tells them that they need to go and look at it and approve it. They also have the option of just, letting everything come in, like opening the floodgates, letting all this new information in, and trusting the crowd will take care of it. And it's a difficult proposition. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So potential solutions, we've been looking elsewhere on the web, and Dave kind of stole my thunder on this, but GitHub obviously is a good place to look for a solution. Version control is hopefully a simple thing that we can implement to control the transcript, so hopefully no one goes in and deletes all the lines, but if they did, we could roll back to the previous commit. Another way we've been thinking about getting new content in and getting better content in is to encourage the user. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn's persistent, pestering. They are constantly pestering you for new information about yourself. This will show up on my page, this big garish blue box, until I finally tell them what my responsibilities as co-founder at Popup Archive are. And I guarantee you I will eventually do it because I'm aggravated by it. And as for tags, they have a great upvoting mechanism that I'm a big fan of. I constantly, when I'm on LinkedIn, will say yes, my friends are good at such and such things, and it's like a satisfying thing. It only takes a few seconds, and it lets the really good content float to the top. And I think that could work really well with our tags as well. So I'm going to wrap up there and leave you guys with a question. And so if our goal is to make knowledge more discoverable, how can we engage the public to provide meaningful annotation? It's something I'm thinking about. If you're thinking about it, please email me. We love to hear from you. And thank you.
All right, great.
Hi, great presentation. A question about the audio files. Does Popup Archive allow for sharing? So if I wanted to, let's say, grab one of your audio files and use it in my environment, let's say in an educational setting, could I extract that, or do you have some kind of embedding way? And then exporting the annotation?
There's an embed code on public files that you can use. We don't allow downloading right now, but yes, you can embed. We built on top of JPlayer.
So I may have missed this. Is this open source by any chance?
The platform is open source. There are pieces of it that we use a service for processing some of the files, and that's behind a wall. But most of it is, yes, on GitHub, PRX/Popup Archive.
And just a comment, I love the idea of flipping the sound file, the oscillator into the vertical. Very nice.
Yeah, I also thought the vertical sound wave was pretty awesome. I noticed it was kind of a transcription. Is that the intended use? And I'm wondering how long it takes somebody to make one of those, because it seems like it'd be really time consuming.
The transcription is automated. So right now we're using the Google Speech API to get that, and we're right now, in an effort to improve on that, creating our own models based on CMU Sphinx. We're creating a public radio model. So right now, Google Speech to Text has really a penchant to return like pop culture references. If someone says in like the course of whatever they're saying, it will constantly return Eminem. So we're working on more appropriate vocabularies for our audience right now. And we also provide editing tools so that you can go back through that and clean it up.
Great.
Thank you so much.